to my couch. I am Chanel John, and we are for the first time reviewing Lovecraft Country episode 9, which is called Rewind 1921, but I'm dubbing The Chicken or the Egg. You guys, I'm really nervous about this review because this is my favorite show on television right now, and I have anxiety because it's about to end and I don't know what I'm gonna do. Diane is in a coma and she's mummifying. They're all arguing back and forth about whose fault it is and how they let this happen. They realize that they need Christina to help reverse this curse. And Atticus wants to use the pages to barter for her life. However, Letty has already used the pages, which was supposed to be for Tick's life, but she used it for herself, which then upsets Montrose, and he goes for her, so Atticus has to hold him back, and Ruby almost lets slip that she's pregnant. However, Letty stops her. Ruby then confesses that Christina would actually come for her. So Christina shows up and says that she's only able to reverse the curse for 24 hours without the Book of Names, and that she will do it on the condition that Atticus will willingly go with her to Artem. And he reluctantly agrees. The police officers are playing Humpty Dumpty, trying to put the police chief back together with black body parts, but the spell is not working. Christina shows up as William, and then we learn that the spell that she had Ruby put in the police chief's office was to regenerate his wounds. So that's why he can't re-heal. And we watch him die very happily. Montrose is sitting in the garage drinking jailhouse liquor, feeling sorry for himself, and Tick comes in and tries to encourage him, saying like he does things for his family. He's about to give his blood to help Diane, and Montrose admits that the spell may not work because he may not be the closest relative that Tick may be, because he may be George's son, which comes as a blow to Tick because he wished his whole life that George was his father. And and then the flip side of that is George knowing that and watching Tick go through everything he went through with Montrose. So he's visibly messed up by this. They're interrupted by Letty, who basically says that Christina's ready. And in walks in Hippolyta like, oh my gosh, she came to save the day right on time for her baby. They use her blood for this spell, and then they have 24 hours to figure this shit out, right? Ruby goes to leave with Christina, and Letty tries to stop her because she doesn't trust Christina. However, Ruby doesn't trust Tick and Montrose especially after Montrose tried to come for Letty. And then Letty tells her that she thinks that Christina is planning to kill Tick, but Ruby leaves with her anyway. So Hippolyta comes up with a plan to get the Book of Names through the time machine, and they all think that she's crazy, but she explains to them when she went through the portal, she went to Earth 504, and she was there for the equivalent of 200 years, and she can use her infinite wisdom to save her daughter's life. And it's like, yes, bitch, you better go. So they all jump in the car and head back to the time machine. Montrose knocks back the whole glass of that jailhouse liquor in preparation to go back to one of the worst days of his entire life. Letty wants to explain to him why she took the invulnerability spell, but he already knows she's pregnant, and she doesn't know how he knows. He explains that Tick told him, and he also went through the portal, and the reason why Tick didn't tell Letty any of this is because he knew that Christina was eventually going to kill him. So they get the portal working, and Hippolyta wires the portal up to the glowy parts in her arms so that she could be the motherboard and direct the portal where they're supposed to go. And once she connects it to her, you just see the surge hit her. Like, you could tell that was so painful going through her body. It was like, oh, it hit me in my chest. So they jump through, but Montrose is hesitant and finally jumps through the portal with them. So as they jump through the portal, we see that Montrose is visibly traumatized. Tick is pissed with him because now he can tell that Montrose was drinking and they need to have clear minds. So at this point, he says, like, once they're done and Dee's good, he's done with him. But they still need him to find the Holmes. At this point, they learn that Tick's mother's whole family was burned alive in their home. So they go to the houses, and we see that Tick's mother and father's homes were right next door to each other. They catch Montrose's father. Did I say that right? They catch his father beating his ass outside with a switch, Jackson 5 style, because he caught Montrose putting a flower in his hair. So basically he was trying to beat the gay out of him. And you see, like we knew already, like this is Montrose 1.0. Montrose 1.0. Like this guy is a brutal drunk. You can see Tick's heart softening for Montrose when you see the way his father was, like it, and even Letty's, like, she said, no one deserves to be beaten like that, because Montrose tried to say, like, he deserved it. And it was horrific. Yet it's no excuse to do the same thing to your child. They realize that Montrose has disappeared, and they think that he's gone to warn young George about the future, which they can't do, otherwise it's going to mess up everything going forward. So they go and they hijack a car, and then they hear gunshots. And as soon as they hear that, Tick looks at Letty's stomach, and she says, we can call him George. That was the most awkward baby revealing scene moment ever, because he just drives off. It was Tick can be so weird. Sometimes I just want to bop him on his forehead. But yeah, so he goes off to find his dad. She goes off to get in the house. So on the way back, Letty is chased by white thugs who are shooting at her, and she falls onto Tick's grandfather's lawn, and she realizes that none of the bullets are hitting her, but they still like come out and start shooting back at the white people to protect Letty, and they get her inside. That gets her inside the house. So they look at her, she's wearing the dress of the day, but she's wearing Converses, it looks like, and to them they're just like, something's a little bit off, but whatever. So she tells them that there's a car of them down the street, so everyone gets a gun, spreads out throughout the house to keep watch. Tick finds Montrose. He finds out that he was not going to tell young George. He was going to try and save his friend who was shot in the head that night, who was also gay, which was the first set of lies where Montrose was trying to hide his true self. Tick has to convince him to do otherwise it's gonna mess up the whole timeline. But he feels like it's a risk that he was willing to take. He says that he was the first in a long line of sacrifices he made to become a father, and he needed Tick to be his son because that would make him a real man. Even if it was George's son, it was like that was something he was willing to do just to bury that gay part of himself, which is really sad that we live in a society where the idea of being gay would mean that you're not a man. Because even earlier in the episode, we see the father saying to George, at least I'm not the only man in this house. And so it's like, it's a constant attack on his manhood and his self-esteem. You can see why he's so messed up and why this day in his life means so much trauma for him, especially in how he raised Tick and how he copes with everything. So Grandma catches Letty going through one of the upstairs bedrooms looking for the book and pulls the gun out on Letty like, I see your shoes, I never seen nothing like that before, who the hell are you? So Letty has to tell her the truth and explain why she's there, who, what, why, and all that good stuff. And then that leads Grandma to ask, are we gonna die? So she has to tell her the truth. So now Grandma needs to choose between her future family and her current family. the guys realize that Tick is the one who actually came and saved young Montrose, his mom, and young George from the white mob that was attacking them all this time, which I had a feeling was going to be the case. But this is one of those, that's why I call this episode the chicken or the egg, because you never know which one actually comes first. So he goes in to save the day and beats everybody's ass with the damn bat. So Letty pleads with Grandma to for her unborn child's life. And we hear someone in the background calling for her. She decides to give Letty the book, and Letty holds her hand through the whole house burning down, and we watch her burn alive. And it is so reminiscent of a witch burning. It's traumatizing to see, but Letty stood there and took it and held her hand through the whole thing, and which is incredible. Especially even though she's invulnerable, it still was a powerful thing to stand there and watch. So now we're in full-blown riot mode. Montrose and Tick make it back to the place where they entered, and they see that the portal is acting up. We see through the portal that Hippolyta is at this point frothing at the mouth, and she's struggling to keep this portal open, but Letty is still not back with the book. Montrose watches as the riots go on and recollects all the black businesses that were burnt down, and those successful black men who they went and they shot in the head, and all the wicked things that they did to these people during the riots, which connects back to the Tulsa, Oklahoma riots. Hippolyta is using every last inch of her being to keep this portal open. Her eyes turn wide. She starts to levitate off the ground. And oh my gosh, like Tick is just watching helpless, like there's nothing he can do, and he's just fighting for them to get back through and fighting to push her to the point where she can still hold it open. We see Hippolyta's hair turn blue, like she turns into a storm in this damn thing. Jesus, crazy. And then just before she's able to not give any more, we see, well, first of all, Letty was taking a long fucking stroll through the riot, which was just like, I hate scenes like that when you're like, we gotta hurry up, we gotta get through, and someone's just like slow walking through something, which it was like a strong stance, but it also pissed me off. It was really annoying. But anyway, at the last moment, they both jumped through, and the portal closed, and whew, baby, Tick is holding on to Auntie Hippolyta for dear life. I'm telling you, I watched this thing twice and I was in tears. I was like, don't y'all hate when you watching something and you end up in tears? Because you be like, I be trying like it's just a show, but they had me. I was really, I'm just so glad they got the book, and it looks like it's a whole lot of madness next episode, and I just don't know what I'm gonna do with myself, y'all. So yeah, let's talk about it down below. How do you think it's gonna end? I know Tick can't die, otherwise we ain't got a show, and I was really hoping we was gonna get Uncle George back, but it's looking like it's not gonna happen. But I'm thinking that homegirl Christina is gonna die just like her daddy and everyone else before who tried to come for these black folk. So what do you think? Let me know below. Thanks, guys.